Welcome to Tales from the Bridge. This is another episode of Trivia from the Bridge, and this week we have Robert Duncan McNeill joining us. You probably know Robbie from Star Trek Voyager, Masters of the Universe, one of my favorite films from the 80s. He also has a podcast now called The Delta Flyers, so check those show notes if you're a Star Trek Voyager fan. You're definitely going to want to check out that podcast. Over the next few weeks, we've got more fantasy and science fiction authors joining us on the show, so be sure to come back and check it out. All right, let's make our way over to the bridge. Robbie, how has the Delta Flyers been going? Because I've been listening to you and Garrett, and as a huge Voyager fan, I'm just loving the show. So, yeah, how's that been?
Yeah, we talked to Robert today, and I'm trying to get Kate Mulgrew back on for a quick pop. And, yeah, it's just been awesome. The fans have really enjoyed it. And what started as just something to do when the pandemic hit has really turned into a big community. I don't know how many downloads now, 3 million downloads or something. It's been quite surprising. So,
that's fantastic.
No.
Are you finding that viewing it through, a little bit of time past, that the lens is a little different now?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet. And all the directing experience now, right? Being able to look back.
Yeah, it's interesting. I find myself often, looking at what I think works and what I think doesn't work on Voyager, and knowing and remembering that we did those episodes in 7 days. And, now the show that I'm a resident alien, we have 9 or 10 day schedules, and we did 16 this year, but 9 or 10 days for each episode. On Voyager, we did 20, sometimes 24 or 26, I think, in a season, and we did them in 7 days. So
wow, it's 1 week per season. Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, long day.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's a lot of strain on your talent.
When you were filming Voyager, was that on film, or how were you recording the picture?
Film, yeah, that was 35 millimeter film. Yeah.
So that changes everything as well, right? Your 7 days is condensed because, your takes are different, right?
You can't keep rolling film. Like now you start rolling on the video cameras or digital cameras, and it doesn't matter. It's all free, it doesn't cost anything. But back then, the film every second cost money, and so you had to be very careful.
Yeah, a lot more pressure on getting it right the first time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're here with Robbie McNeill and Stephen Fay, and we're going to have a good time playing some trivia here. Let's do this.
Jump into it.
Okay. It's a little bit obscure, but fun nonetheless.
Okay.
Question number 1, round 1. What was the first sitcom to ever have reruns?
I'm going to say The Honeymooners.
Oh,
no, but that's a good guess.
I was going to say you're in the ballpark for sure.
I'm going to say Hogan's Heroes.
No.
I Love Lucy.
Hey, nice. I was going to say you got to go deeper. I Love Lucy is correct. It was the very first sitcom to ever have reruns. That's right.
Wow,
yeah, nice one. Yeah.
I Love Lucy. Well, what's funny is Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Obviously, you guys probably know this, but they had not only the sitcom, but a studio, Desilu Studios, that produced a lot of things. They ended up buying RKO Studios, RKO Pictures, which is where Star Trek started. So if it wasn't for Lucille Ball, Star Trek would not exist. So.
Yeah.
Well, that is something else. Wow. So that would have been mid-late 60s then, or mid-60s, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think she bought RKO in around 1960 or the late 50s, early 60s. And yeah. So RKO is where Citizen Kane was made at RKO. And RKO was in Hollywood on Gower Street, Gower and Melrose. And right next to RKO was Paramount Studios, but there was a big wall between them. They were not one studio. Oh. And eventually, Desilu or Lucille Ball sold RKO or Desilu Studios to Paramount, and Paramount tore the wall down. So now Paramount is owns RKO and Desilu and all that, but that used to be separate studios.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
That's some good trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might come back later. We'll see.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Now this one here is well, I mean, it's a bit of a softball actually, but we'll get on to question number 2. And what were the only 3 Star Trek regulars to all wear 3 uniform colors? Because there were only 3.
In Star Trek Forever, from original cast, everybody.
The only 3 regulars to wear all 3 uniform colors: command, operation security, and medical science.
Wow. I don't even know where to begin there.
I almost think it would be you, because you were doing medical for a while, but no, I don't think it was.
I don't
Actually, Steve,
Mhm.
he is listed as one of the
really?
3 regulars to have worn all 3 colors, and I have the episodes here too.
Really?
Yeah. That's pretty. I love that he got one.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did not even know.
Yeah. Red Command in Voyager, and Operation Security, worst case scenario, and medical was Voyager author. Those were all 3 of the episodes.
That's right.
Good one.
Steve, nice, well done. I love that.
Who else?
Now there is 2 others though. Does anyone
that's
have
good.
a guess?
We need to know. Yeah.
So George Takei was the other person.
Yeah.
And Robert Picardo, actually, just as you had you mentioned him earlier, he also wore all 3. But you were the only 3 that has worn all 3 colors that were Star Trek regulars. Yeah.
Wow, good to know.
Yeah, there you go. Bringing back some memories.
I'll have to bring that up on my podcast on the Delta Flyers.
There you go.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Question number 3. We're coming back to Earth here. Which country produces the most coffee in the world?
Brazil?
Nice.
That is correct.
Is it?
That is correct.
It is, yeah. And now, do you have any idea, like percentage-wise, how much?
Oh, of the world supply
of the coffee? World supply of coffee?
60%.
It's 40% actually, because the rest of the countries only make up like fractions of the rest of the of the rest of it. Yeah,
that's funny. I would have liked Colombia, but I knew that was wrong. So,
well, they've got to be up there for sure.
Yeah, they've got to be absolutely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's Brazil by a landslide apparently.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys coffee guys or tea guys? What do you think?
I am a coffee guy.
Oh, yeah, coffee all the way, man. Can't survive without it.
Well, Robbie's got a little bit of an edge so far. Let's see how we do. All right, so this next one here. What recently announced technology is NASA testing for launching satellites into low Earth orbit using 70% less fuel than rockets?
Slingshot.
The spin launch, the A33 suborbital mass accelerator, or the slingshot. They're literally, they're going to spin it around at 5,000 miles per hour and then fling it up into the atmosphere.
Nothing living.
Wow.
It's crazy. No, nothing. Nothing living.
Nothing very.
No.
I guess anything fragile. It would have to be something.
No, well, yeah, because they're reaching hypersonic speeds apparently, which is above Mach 5. They're able to reach in their tests so far. So,
yeah.
So
and also,
and then they release it at the right trajectory for it to head up.
Yeah,
think about
exactly.
Wow. Yeah, it's literally it's funny because it sounds so archaic, but it's so brilliant in its simplicity, and much more environmentally friendly as well too. Just pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is you sacrifice your payload, right? You wouldn't be able to get the amount of equipment that's needed. Like, for example, what NASA's doing with rockets, your payload is so much greater for taking up parts for space stations or even extra fuel. So spin launch isn't going to be. They're probably just going to be throwing up satellites. Probably, that's basically it. But isn't
I would say even components of space station stuff that's tough and can take the spin. Something that's heavy that's not going to get wrecked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Speaking
cool.
of all those satellites, I am speaking to you from my very first video conference on Elon Musk's Starlink system that we
No
just
way.
this afternoon.
I own it.
I was going to say
got one
Steve
too.
just got it as well. Yeah. That's
I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
are you operating with it now? Or?
No, I'm in Toronto on Bell, but I have a place up on the Lakeland in Sudbury area where there's good fishing. I have a cottage up there, and the internet sucked. It was out to a satellite that was in geosynchronous orbit, so you can imagine the speed. But now with Elon Musk's system of several thousand satellites that are in low Earth orbit, it simply picks up a satellite for about 6 minutes, and then you can get an app that will show you how it switches to the next satellite and the next and the next. And what you've got there and what I have, I was blown away instantly by how wonderful it was, fast. And,
Yeah. I mean, this is the first time I'm using it, but it's so far so good. It seems dramatically better than what we had before. So,
yeah.
All right, last question in round 1. Question number 5. Name the actor who played Hoban Washburn, who served as the pilot of the famed transport ship Serenity.
Alan Tudyk, of course.
That is correct. and we need to know now, Robbie.
Yeah.
What's it like work with Alan? Because he just seems like a blast.
He's a unique individual for sure. Very, very smart, incredibly gifted with physical comedy and just a creative mind, and very professional. He's a hard worker. He takes his comedy very seriously and works really hard to squeeze every moment and every ounce out of things. So he's great. He's awesome.
Right. And you both went to Juilliard, is that correct?
Yeah, we both dropped out too. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he came from Alan is from Texas. And I think he went to Juilliard wanting to explore, some really challenging and interesting things. But I don't think the strict nature. Juilliard has a very strict kind of sequence of classes that you must do, and you must do it their way. And he didn't like that very much. So I don't know if he was only there a year or maybe 2 years, but he did not finish. And I was there a year and a half. I actually loved it. I'd never had formal training the way that Juilliard taught. I just got a job, and it was a television series regular sort of job, and I wanted to take it, so I left Juilliard. But yeah, Alan Tudyk and I talk a lot about some of the teachers there. Some of the teachers we both loved. Some of the classes that we loved and some of the classes that we hated.
Right. Nice. Well, hey, having to leave because you were too busy actually working can't be a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Want to head into round 2 here, Ryan?
Round 2, yeah, for sure. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of a callback here. So can either of you name the first pilot episode of the Star Trek original series?
The Cage?
The Cage is correct.
It was the remake of it.
But The Cage was the one that was rejected by NBC until our friend Lucy decided that it deserved a second chance. And it was her studio, as you brought up earlier, that actually financed a second pilot, which at that point, and even now, is absurd, that a second pilot would be financed by anyone after being turned down by a major studio like that. And so another reason why Star Trek probably would not have existed if it wasn't for Lucille Ball, because she actually is the one that funded Where No Man Has Gone Before.
And what is really interesting is how well Discovery, for guys like me that love Star Trek, wove in a scene going into Talos 4 and recreated a lot of the stuff from The Cage.
From The Cage,
decades later. It was really wonderful to see.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit gratuitous, but anyway, it was still fun. What can I say?
Yeah, no, I love that, because when you brought up the Lucy thing, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like he read my notes. I love it. Such a great little tidbit. Yeah.
I'm going to take us back to Earth again.
All right.
Shucks.
Which mammal has no vocal cords?
A whale.
No.
I would say a giant sloth.
No. It's a weird one. I don't know anyone who would know this, but I think their necks are so long that it would be hard to make sound travel.
Giraffes?
Yeah, the giraffe.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
That's
I
so
feel
weird.
like I've heard a giraffe make a noise, but I guess not.
That's really good. I've never
Interesting.
either.
Yeah, I did not know that.
That's a weird
either.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so.
All right,
funny.
give that one to Robbie.
Yeah, I had a big clue there.
$500,000. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, I tried to make this as even-handed as I could. All right, and you'll know why after. So, Antares, which is the one of the largest known stars, it has several hundred times the diameter of the sun, 10,000 times its luminosity.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the brightest star in which constellation?
I should know this. I guarantee it's not Orion because that's Betelgeuse. And I promise I won't look it up. I should know this. I don't.
I don't know.
All right. So
Tim Russ would know this. Tuvok. Tim Russ would know this because he's a big astronomer. He's always out there watching stars. He would know this, but I have no clue.
well, as a Scorpio, Robbie,
Yes.
you really should know that it's the brightest star in Scorpius or Scorpio.
Really?
Scorpio.
And it's also because Antares is also known as the heart of the scorpion.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay. Good.
Good one. Good one.
Well, I'm going to change this one up a little bit here because we just mentioned Tim Russ, who is awesome. And
Yep, he is.
he's always doing something. Can you name Tim Russ's band?
Oh gosh. No.
Now, they just played on a Star Trek cruise.
That's amazing.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen it
I really want to know.
on announcements and things, but I have no idea.
I think I kind of just gave it away,
Don't know.
too.
The Cruisers?
The Tim Russ crew.
Crew. Ah, that's right.
Oh, that's going on my Spotify for sure.
But I also see Tim Russ band, so I have
Could
to
be
say
that.
I have not seen them live. I would love to, though. I imagine seeing Tim Russ on stage playing in a band on a Star Trek cruise would be incredible. Have you done those, Robbie? Have you done the cruises?
I have not done a cruise. I'm supposed to do. My wife and I are supposed to go on a cruise next March. I think that would be the first one that I ever have done. So I hear it's amazing. Everybody that went on the big cruise this year, just recently, a month or so ago, said it was an incredible time. So.
All right.
Right.
Well, all right. So question 5. So what was the first science fiction film to depict humans traveling in a faster than light starship of their own creation?
Faster than light starship of their own creation.
Not lost
Is
in
it
space.
No, not Lost in Space.
But getting closer in that time period.
Getting
though.
closer to that time period. Absolutely.
Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, for God's sake. Don't know it, but I love Leslie Nielsen.
No.
So it was a film called Forbidden Planet.
Oh, yeah.
And when you see the poster or the robot, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's Robbie the robot." It's one of those ones where like it's in the zeitgeist so much, and is often referenced as kind of the closest analog to Star Trek, like pre-Star Trek. But yeah, so anyway, it was especially when you see the robot, you're like, "Oh yeah, that's the science fiction robot." He's got he's got like the claw hands and the
I gotta look it up. I gotta read it. I gotta look.
Check it out.
Leslie Nielsen was the star of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you wouldn't recognize him either because he did have what we remember of Leslie Nielsen from the 80s and on. Doesn't look like Leslie Nielsen.
Ever wondered what it takes to make it in the movie business? Peel back the curtain with 4-6 Success Filmmaking. 4-6 Success Filmmaking is where filmmakers share their stories and the secrets.
It's beyond competitive out there.
There have been movies that it's taken me 10 years to get made.
Don't wait to create. Like, you've got to just keep making stuff.
Tune in to 4-6 Success Filmmaking for your dose of cinematic realness, direct from the voices that have lived it.
Yeah, I bet. Was he a handsome, like leading man kind of look?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Big busty guy too. Like just unrecognizable as Leslie Nielsen. But also it is a very good film. It's very watchable. It's aged well.
Wow.
It also like the Robbie the robot character, it was one of the first times too when like a robot wasn't used as a prop. He was used as like an actual part of the ensemble. Like he plays an integral role, narrative role and a supportive role, even like showing emotion and personality for the first time in film as well, which is really kind of cool and really opened the door for, you know, other writers to use that. It's very cool.
All right, let's just head right into the final round here. Question 1 of round 3 is, while on the Paramount lot during filming Deep Space Nine, Cirroc Lofton, who played Jake Sisko, ran into Tom Hanks. Tom told Cirroc he was on his way to a meeting to discuss filming what film sequel?
Forrest Gump 2. No.
No, that's it.
No, that is it.
What?
That is it. Oh my god, I can't believe you guessed that. That's so funny.
They did a sequel to that, did they?
No,
they didn't.
They didn't. No.
Oh,
but
but he said he was going to make it the sequel to Forrest Gump.
Well, he said he was going to a meeting to discuss it. So either that's just what he said, or maybe they were actually. See, the thing is, there is a Forrest Gump 2, or there is a second book. So it's possible that someone adapted that book into a screenplay.
Well, and it was so successful, I could see them wanting to go back to the well, right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah. That's so funny. I can't believe you guys. You got 10 points for that. That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve. There's no way you're coming back from that. That's hilarious. He guessed an answer that isn't even real. That's amazing. Mind you, Steve, you did get an answer that was Robbie. So I feel like there's a bit of a balance there.
Yeah.
All right. This character was the first Native American character to ever be featured regularly on a Star Trek series.
Regularly? Oh, Native American?
You got it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, portrayed by Robert Beltran.
Is Robert Beltran indigenous?
He is not. No, but his character was. No, Robert was actually Mexican American.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew he was playing.
I talked about this issue on the Delta Flyers podcast. Looking back on that character being played by a non-Indigenous actor, written as a very non-specific Indigenous person, that would not happen nowadays.
No, nor should it.
No.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, he did well.
Oh, he did really well. He played the character beautifully.
Yep.
But the whole, one of the things that I cannot believe they did is they created a fake tribe for him. And then they found this consultant who turned out to be a fraud.
Oh my goodness.
That they didn't even really consult, because they just wanted to say we have a consultant, but they didn't really use this guy. Optics. And he turned out to be a fraud anyway. So the whole thing was a bit of a mess. Yeah. And
my goodness.
Yeah, but Robert did a great job, and in spite of all of that, I think the intentions were good, but people just didn't really think about what they were doing in the same way that they would now. So.
No, and absolutely, and just the simple fact of about representation, even aside, just professionally, you're telling me there wasn't an Indigenous person that needed the work. You know what I mean? Like to as well, right? Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah. But no, he did he did a great job with it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Even if you think about the tattoo on Robert Beltran's head, Michael Westmore has said that he was inspired to create that tattoo from Maori culture, which is South Pacific. It's New Zealand. This is it's a whole different kind of ethnic background than sort of a Native American, and yet it was sort of all mushed in as if it's the same thing. So
that's a very astute observation, Robbie. As you know, or maybe will know, I've worked with Indigenous people for a couple of decades, and I've met with Maori people and also the Aboriginal people from Australia, and that's exactly what I felt as well. That it was more closely related to the Maori tribes, and
yes.
so that's really great to hear you say that, because I believe that to be true.
Well, and definitely at this point, there's many more strides being made to make sure that everything's being done with proper representation. And those consultants that before were just window dressing are being used, to their fullest now, for sure. Absolutely. You can just tell even with some of the newer series, right, that they're making more of a push for actual representation, which is great.
Very much on Resident Alien, the show that I produce.
That's right.
A handful of First Nations or Indigenous actors and characters, and we do have multiple consultants that are legitimately Indigenous in North America and can speak about Indigenous traditions and the nuance and detail. We even had an episode with a small town fair, right? And we wanted to have booths of people that would be selling, crafts or foods or T-shirts. We found some Indigenous T-shirt, apparel makers and a handful of different Indigenous people that had real businesses that we brought in to be part of that fair, that Family Day festival. And so we felt like it was really important to not put up like dream catchers and have some extra who looks Indigenous. We wanted to have real Indigenous people with real Indigenous products that they make and help support them. So anyway,
awesome.
I think things are much, much better than back when we were making Voyager in the 90s.
No, that's great. And it all comes from people like yourself making that push, right? That's where that comes from, for sure.
I noticed that off episode 1 when watching Resident Alien, that right away I was like, okay, there's some great representation right off the hop. And
thank you.
Yeah, it would make Roddenberry happy, for sure.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it would.
All
right.
Let's
go to question 3. What country has the most vending machines per capita?
Japan.
Yes.
Hey, it is Japan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So manufacturers started lending machines for free of charge to anyone, and that's how they skyrocketed in the 80s and 90s and throughout the 2000s. Wow. But I want to know, do you guys think that vending machines are a thing for the future? Do you think we see more vending machines everywhere in the future, or do they kind of stay a little bit obscure? What do you think? Do you think we get less humans, more vending machines? What's the future look like?
I think the future looks a lot like there's a human face. We have vending machines happening right now in places we're not even aware, like McDonald's or these fast food restaurants.
Yep.
There are robotic machines making the food, like vending machines in the back, basically. Yeah. And you just have that human face at the window or at the counter that hands you your burger and fries. But the robots and the machines are doing it in the back. I think that's already happening. So I think it's going to be a bit more of a robotic kind of, it's going to be prepared by robots, but served by a human, or maybe take the human out of it. And it's just, you push a machine and you see it get made. And
as the slide backwards with minimum wage, at least that we see here, especially, not being able to create equitable working environments for everyday people. I mean, these corporations, it's like they won't make the human choice, so they'll go the other way, right? They're like, they're not going to sacrifice their profits so that you can make a decent wage. They're gonna get a robot to make your burger instead.
Yep.
Or make you do it yourself. When you go check out at the grocery store now, you do it yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, take care of it yourself. Indeed. Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this one, I don't know. We'll see. This one might be a bit of a challenge for both, but we'll see how far we get. There are several Star Trek episodes whose titles are pulled from Shakespeare quotes. and I've got a list of about 6 of them in front of me. And basically, if you can name one, you get a point for every one you can name.
I couldn't do it quickly.
I don't think I could either. This is tough,
No.
Ryan.
It's
I know
well,
they exist.
yeah. No,
That's all.
I also didn't realize the amount of like tie-ins as well, just in terms of like
Oh, there's tons
themes
of
and
tie-ins.
yeah, well, and
Mhm.
like direct and indirect, and
Hmm.
yeah, no, I was just surprised. I wasn't sure, just because since I got the 6, I wasn't sure if anyone would be able to throw out one or.
I can tell you scenes where Shakespeare was used. An obvious one was in Star Trek 6. Sorry, 6, Voyage Home. Let loose the dogs of war, but that's not a title. That's just
Right.
a scene. So I can't give you one off the top of my head. Sorry, I don't know about you, Robbie, but I can't.
I can't think of one either. I'm
All right, well, maybe this will bring back some memories. Then there's Dagger of the Mind.
Oh, that's a good
I've got
one. Yeah.
one from Voyager, Mortal Coil. That's a Shakespeare quote.
Yes, it
Mortal-
is. Yep,
Good one.
you got
Mortal
it.
Coil was a title. Yeah, I only know this because of the Delta Flyers podcast, and I'm going back to all the Mortal Coil. I was like, that's
Nice.
Shakespeare.
That is
right. Yeah. And then Dagger of the Mind, which is a Macbeth reference, and then the Conscience of the King, which is a Hamlet
that's a good one.
reference.
Oh, that, yeah.
All of Our Yesterdays, which is another Macbeth quote.
Good one.
By Any Other Name, it's a Romeo and Juliet reference.
What's by? Is that a TNG? By any other name?
Yes, it is actually. And then Whom Gods Destroy, it's a reference to Sonnet 18. And then Elam of Troyes is from The Taming of the Shrew. So actually, that whole episode apparently is lifted. Basically, it's The Taming of the Shrew.
Great
Yeah. I know there's quite a few times when we were starting to dig deep into it, and even that that Forbidden Planet that we had mentioned earlier. There apparently is some people that believe loosely or not that it was La Tempest. Basically, it was like retelling of The Tempest, but in space, because the isolation themes and the different characters and things like that. So,
and let's not forget that Robbie won the Dramalog Award for Best Actor as Romeo in the Ford Theater production of Romeo and Juliet.
Thank you.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice.
When would that have been?
Well, that probably was 92 or 93 maybe a year before Voyager. I did a production in Los Angeles of Romeo and Juliet at the John Anson Ford Theater, and I played Romeo, and Megan Follows, who's well known to Canadians as Anne of Green Gables back in the day.
That's right.
Megan Follows played Juliet, and she had just played that role at the Stratford Festival, and so she the year before she had played Juliet there. So it was a wonderful production. She was very confident in the role. She had done it for 6 months before at the Stratford Festival, and I love that production. It was fun.
Right.
Very
So
cool.
you've been to Stratford to see productions?
I have not. No, I've
We
always
haven't.
wanted to go there. I would love to.
Because I think Ryan, you're probably about a half an hour from Stratford, aren't you?
I am.
Somewhere around there?
Yeah, I used to work in live theater on the production side, but I actually worked at Stratford for a little while. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's a very well-known, very highly respected theater company.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they've got a rich history.
Yes.
All right, guys. Last question of round 3 here. Who did the cat in The Godfather belong to? Now, I'll make this one multiple choice here. So you know the cat that Marlon Brando has while he's sitting behind the desk. Did the cat belong to Francis Ford Coppola, or Diane Keaton, Al Pacino, or no one? The cat was a stray.
Be a total guess on my part. So Robbie, go ahead.
I'm going to say Francis Ford Coppola.
No.
I would say a stray then.
Yes, the cat was a stray. Not sure where they found the cat, but somewhere near the set, obviously. But Coppola was he was like that, right? He just kind of went with things as he could. He was such a talented director.
That's a beautiful looking stray cat. Just gotta say, it's a nice looking cat.
Well, it looks tough, right? It had to look a little bit tough as well. Since mentioning such a great director, well-known director, Robbie, can you tell us a little bit about your transition to directing from acting? Did you kind of just not want to act anymore, or did your desire to direct just overpower your want to act?
I had wanted to direct for a long time, and I had started shadowing directors for 4 years before Voyager started. So I had been very interested in directing for the camera. I directed some small theater productions, but I really felt like I wanted to try that. As soon as I started doing it, it just felt like a better fit to me. I had loved acting, but I felt like by the time I was on Voyager, I had done a little bit of everything I ever wanted to do. I had done a variety of theater productions. I'd been on Broadway. I'd been in big touring productions. I'd done movies. I'd done TV shows. So I felt at that point that directing was just a better fit. I didn't feel the bug to act anymore, and it's been great. But I nowadays I think about dabbling in acting again. I don't know that I would want to pursue it full time, but I got to do a voice on Lower Decks. That was fun. I got to bring Tom Paris back.
That's right.
With some voice acting, and that was a lot of fun. And I actually had an acting school in Atlanta, Georgia, where I was living a few years ago, and really enjoyed working with actors. And I actually did some scenes with the actors in a class environment, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I may dabble back in some acting again. We'll see.
Is there a character in Resident Alien that you're like, you know what, I'd love to do that one?
I don't know. Not yet. There hasn't been one that's come along yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
That would be very fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
All right. So what have we got for points there, Ryan?
Well, I'd like to say that it was close. And it was. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. We got Steve with 7 points. And Robbie, that, I don't know, Forrest Gump too. That really, I gotta be. I mean, it's yeah. Let's just, you know what? Let's just say it's close. It's close.
Yeah, it's close.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That was so great.
Pleasure and honor.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, and
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And so, if any of our listeners are interested in checking out the Delta Flyers, where would we find you?
Oh, you can find the Delta Flyers audio podcast on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It's everywhere there. And those are our recaps of the episodes. And then beyond that, we do a lot more on Patreon for subscribers on Patreon, where we've got interviews with actors, behind the scenes stuff, deep dives, and a lot of bonus material we put in there. So yeah, you can try it out for free on the Spotify or iTunes sites. And if you want to go a little deeper, check out the Patreon site.
That's nice. Awesome. And just wondering, I know with things opening up and things changing, do you ever do any live shows?
We haven't done our podcast live. We've talked about it. I've just been in Canada, and Garrett's been in Las Vegas, and so we haven't been in the same part of the world. But we're trying to figure out how to do that. We'd like to do that at some point.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Right on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun.
It was. Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Good luck, you guys, with your show, and take care.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed that one. We certainly did. Over the next few weeks, we've got some great conversations with more sci-fi fantasy authors. Join us again. Let us know what you think of the show. Do you like the trivia episodes? Let us know. We'd love to find out. Thank you again. Until next time.